welcome back everybody, and we are going to do a tomato review on this tomato right here, and this is called the Cosmonaut Volkov Tomato. And the tomato was basically named after the astronaut that came into the atmosphere, I think he just came flying through the atmosphere basically, and he died obviously, but he must have got dislodged from his capsule, or maybe he was in the capsule. I don't really know, but he was the Russian astronaut that came and I think he fell in the Atlantic Ocean, and then he was recovered by the United States or something to that effect. So this tomato was basically named after him. It's a dedication tomato, but this is a Ukrainian variety of tomato, and it's not exactly from Russia. So it's kind of people get a little confused. They think, oh, it's a Russian. Well, Ukraine, I believe, is a satellite country of Russia, and at one point was part of the whole USSR at one time. But then they separated from Russia, and now they're considered the Baltics or satellite countries, and so they're their own country now. But nevertheless, it actually originates from the Ukraine. Okay, so let's give you a better look at this tomato. It's a gorgeous little tomato. Now, we'll talk about this tomato in a second. I just want to show it to you here. Beautiful little slicing tomato right here, but this doesn't stay little for very long. This tomato is really dependent on a very good season. So with this particular variety of tomato, you're going to want to start it early, and you're going to want to grow it by itself. You don't want to grow it around other tomatoes. This tomato needs a lot of attention, because if you don't give it the attention it needs, you're going to end up with smaller tomatoes, but more of them, but it'll just be smaller. If you grow it by itself, away from everything, you really give it the attention it needs, make sure it doesn't get blight early anyway, you avoid it getting sick. This tomato will actually make 1 and possibly, from what I've even read, even 2-pound tomatoes. But in general, my experience is most of the tomatoes that I get off of here are generally about this size, maybe slightly bigger than this. Sometimes they're more round, sometimes they're fluted like this a little bit. You can kind of see the top is wanting to go into the beefsteak shape, or sometimes you'll see that the tops are, they're more round than anything, and they're more of a commercial variety. So the tomato shape and size of this thing can range quite dramatically, really depending on the growing environment in which you're growing it. So depending on how you're growing it is depending on how this tomato is going to make tomatoes. Now, I haven't gotten any 1-pound tomatoes of this variety. Usually the size tomatoes I get are like what you see right here. This is about the size I normally get. So, but I usually get a lot more of them. This plant, I only got maybe a dozen tomatoes this year off it, which I think I'm growing 300 tomato plants, so it's not a big deal. I have more than enough tomato to eat. But the thing is that I was wanting to get a lot of seed for this, and I just didn't get a lot of seed this year. So maybe I'll grow it next year and try to see if we can get some more seed out of it. So let's back you out a little bit and put you on the scale, give you an idea what this tomato weighs anyway. And this will generally be a weight you should be expecting, unless, like I said, you baby the variety, and you'll get bigger tomatoes, possibly 1, maybe even 2-pound tomatoes. All right, so in general, it's going to weigh about around 3.5 ounces. In general, 3 to 4 ounces is your target range generally for this tomato. But again, like I told you, I've read that they get to 1 pound and to even as heavy as 2 pounds, which is quite a large tomato. Probably looks something like that in size. And a lot of websites show it quite often that having different colored shoulders. Well, I'm not sure about that, because this variety of tomato I had purchased when this variety was first released. So these are from the original seed and the original scent. I've never gotten any dark shoulders on the top of the tomato. This is basically what it's always looked like. Just what you see here, just a big beef-type tomato, beefsteak tomato, okay? Or a slicer tomato as they're smaller. You could call it either way with this one. But I never get any dark green shoulders or anything like that on it, so this is pretty much what I've always gotten from this variety. Never exhibited any kind of darkening on the shoulders. I'll show you the inside of the tomato. It's a very typical pattern for this tomato. Very strange looking pattern. It almost looks like I don't know, peace sign maybe or something. That's really cool. Beautiful pattern inside. And let's go over there and do a bricks. All right, so let's go get the old bricks. Ooh, that's juicy, boy. Whew. That thing is loaded with water. Okay, it's a little low. It's about a 4 1/4 on the bricks. So that's a little on the low side. I'm not sure what I had before, but I do remember having a little higher than that. So let's go to this one here. Take a better look at this. Again, we'll give you a better look at the inside of here. Okay, again, typical pattern for this tomato. Even the bigger one has the same kind of pattern. All right, let's squeeze this one to see what the bricks is. This one may not have been ripe. This one was actually ripening up here, so it couldn't really develop the sugars. A little unfair rating for this tomato, because I've had it before and I've had them where they were quite sweet. Ah, it's about the same exact thing. 4 1/4 on the money, even for the super ripe one. These were ripe. This one was ripened on the plant. Like I said, there's a bunch more in there that are still green. So, all right. So enough chattering, and let's give this one a go. I'm dying to try this one. Now, even though the numbers are low on the sweetness, that doesn't mean it's not going to have a nice balance of tangy in there and sweetness. Even though it's low, it just might not be as highly flavorful as a sweeter variety tomato. But it's not all about the sugar and the sweetness when it comes to the sweetness. It really balances what you're looking for in that tomato flavor. So let's give that a try. I stain these sheets so much. I got to make this out of some kind of plastic or something. Okay, so let's start off with the sweetness. Sweetness was below average. I'm going to put the sweetness at about 19 to 20. It wasn't terribly low, but it was definitely below average. 19 to 20 on the sweetness. Tangy was about normal, so it was above average, very slightly, but definitely more than the sweetness. So if I was to put a number on the tangy, I'm going to put the tangy part at about 27, 28 on the tangy. So it was above average, and it was just a little. It was more than what the sweet was. So you could actually feel that contrast. Tomato flavor. We're talking about the concentration of flavor that's within the tomato profile. I would say that the tomato profile was just slightly above average. Average would be 5. I'm going to say it's about a 6 on the tomato flavor. So that's a good range to be in, 6 to 6.5 on tomato flavors. Generally where you want to be a little above average with that. So this falls into that number. Those numbers really line up really good. Moisture wasn't bad. I'm going to go a little above average on the moisture. I'm going to say that was about a 6 to 6.5 on the moisture. Again, where you want to be with moisture is about 6 to 6.5. So this was perfect on the moisture. Tardiness, there was a little bit of tardiness. I am going to give that a 1 for tardiness because there was something there, but it wasn't very prominent. It was just enough to tingle the back of the jaw a little bit. So I was able to pick that up. And so we are going to give it a 1 for tardiness. Wasn't bad. It worked pretty well with the tangy flavor. The undertones, it did have some kind of an undertone to it. Doesn't taste like your commercial variety of tomato, your typical tomato variety. This has like a slight wilding flavor to it. And so I'm going to give it a 1 on the undertones. There is some kind of a stranger type flavor associated with the tomato flavor, so I can pick that up. And there is a slight wilding type flavor in it, slight wild flavor to it. Well, it's not bad. I'm just saying I noticed that with my taste buds. Okay, texture. Texture was perfect on this tomato. I'm going to give this texture an 8 on the texture. It's very high in the texture because the tomato held together very firm. It's not mushy or wet and soggy, and the texture was very nice. You can slice this up very nicely, put it on a hamburger, and it'll hold its shape even with the seeds in it. It's also really good in a salad. It's going to hold its shape really, really good. And it's not going to be all mushy and nasty when you put it in a salad. It's going to hold its form just like a commercial variety tomato. And I sometimes wonder if this variety is a commercial variety from the Ukraine. But I don't know. I mean, you can see how uniform the inside of the tomato is. And the only reason what makes me say it's not commercial is because you can see over here some wilding in here, but the rind itself is very uniform. So that's almost like wanting to push me to that commercial variety. They really breed that out of these wild tomatoes so you could get a very uniform effect. But as far as the texture of it goes, again, we're going to give that an 8 on the texture because it was perfect on the texture. It held the moisture in it, and when you chewed it up, it melted in your mouth. It was perfect texture. Definitely an 8 on the texture. Production, I'm going to go low with this one because it's not. I have never really gotten any heavy productions out of this tomato throughout the years. I've been growing this tomato on and off for the last 10 years. Not every year, but at least a half dozen times within the last 10 years. And every time I grow it, I don't seem to get a huge abundance from this, mainly because I don't put a lot of attention to this tomato variety. So if I was to give it more attention, for example, I'm sure I'll get more production out of it. But because I grow them, you're on your own. I plant you in the ground. I water you for the first week or two. You're on your own. Produce your tomatoes. I have to beat her every, day to baby the thing, then it's just going to be underproductive. And that's because I don't have the time to put towards every variety of tomato. Some years I grow 150 varieties. So I can't waste my time babying a tomato variety just because it wants to be stubborn producing tomatoes. Like I said, if I babied it, I'd probably get more tomatoes out of it. Because I don't baby my plants, I don't get as much production with some varieties. And that's good for you to know because you don't necessarily always want to have to sit there every day and baby your plant. You want that plant to just grow, give it some water every day, and we're good to go. I got work to do, right? So this particular variety is just not very productive, and it seems like I got to baby it in order to get production out of it. So with this variety, we're going to actually put the production down at 3 and 10. Where are we here? 10 being highest. 3 is kind of on the low side, guys. It's not even average. So again, I haven't been terribly pleased with this tomato throughout the years of growing it. It's a great tomato to grow. It's just not, if you're looking for seed and fruit, or if you're going to sell at farmers markets and stuff, you might want to find another variety. This isn't going to be a highly productive variety. It could be a niche market variety, but as far as like you selling for wholesale and stuff like that, now there's other varieties I would steer you towards, like the delicious tomato, for example, which is what this is. This is a delicious variety, and you can really market these really good at farmers markets and vendor tables, and you're going to get premium dollar. This is something you'd have to sell for a higher cost because you got such low production and the work that it took for you to get that lower production. So that's my opinion. So we're going 3 on the production. Skins was good. It broke up nice with the flesh. Everything was great with it. As far as skins, we're gonna go about 3. 3 is average would be 2.5. 3 is a little above average. If I was to tell you a 5, then that would mean that there was absolutely no pieces left after chewing it up. It just chewed up perfectly. I normally don't go that high with a rating with something like this. I just go to 3 for a above average good type of effect that I got in my mouth, and that's what this tomato was. It didn't give me a bad effect. It gave me a very commercial, uniform effect. So that's where we stand with that one. Seed variety, I'm going to go a little above average on seeds for this because this does produce quite a bit of seeds, and you are going to get, if you can get a lot of tomatoes off it, you can really, really get a lot of seeds out of it. However, if you're a sauce maker and you're looking to avoid seeds, this would be more of a seedy variety, and you might be looking for something that's more of an ox heart type of tomato, which is low seeds close to being seedless. So this tomato happens to be a very seedy variety. So just keep that in mind. You are going to get a lot of seeds. So for seed people looking to save seed and or sell seed, this would be a good variety for that. Also keep in mind, a lot of people like to remove seeds. Like my grandmother used to make me squeeze tomatoes all day and to get seeds and get them out of the tomatoes because she didn't like the seeds in the sauce. I personally like seeds in sauce, but a lot of people don't like seeds in their sauce, so they squeeze their tomatoes. This is a variety you're going to really have to squeeze to get all the seeds out because there are going to be a lot of seeds in there. So just letting you know, this is not a seedless variety, and if you're preparing sauce, it's going to be a little work for you. And so how do I rate this tomato overall rating, from 1 being the highest, 10 being the lowest? I'm actually going to rate this tomato I'm gonna rate it in the middle of the road, even though it's low production. Really, the only thing that hurts this tomato, to be honest with you, is the low production of it. But that could just be something, again, that has to do with me. I like putting the blame on myself because I don't know if it's necessarily something I'm doing or maybe an environmental factor of where I live, which is causing me to get a low production on this tomato. But I've been growing this tomato for many years, and I never really get a huge mess load of tomatoes. In fact, some years I'd only get 2 or 3 tomatoes and the plant would die, and that may just be because of the blight, but I never do good. It's always like I'm struggling with this tomato variety, and I keep trying to, every time I grow it, I try to seasonalize it a little more, a little more, a little more. I try to get a little bit more acclimatized to my environment. But it's a hard road with this variety, and you know, it's going to take a little more work for me to try to really build that production. But everything else seems to be good. Yeah, the sweetness was a little low on it too. That part, you know, that between the sweetness and the production being not in my number range, that should lower that number down to around a 4.5 theoretically. But I'm bringing it up to 5 because I know this variety can actually do a lot better productively. It's just I don't baby my tomato plants, and if I get blight, well, that's the end of it. I have to literally grow this tomato in a pot away from around my garden so no blight gets to it. And if I do that, I'll do pretty good with the variety, more than likely. And as far as sweetness goes, maybe if I add some of the lime to the soil, I could probably artificially raise that sweetness. So that might be a condition I might be able to adjust. So I don't want to underrate this tomato just simply because of those two factors. These are two things that I could probably bring up if I concentrate a little bit on it. Or if I got my notes now and I got this video, I could always go back and say, oh yeah, that's right, it was the sweet and the production were low, I need to do this. So I can make an adjustment and maybe bring these numbers up a little. So we'll leave it at, we're going to leave this tomato rating at 5 for this year. Maybe next year we'll bring it to a 4. Or maybe next year we'll bring it down to a 6. I don't know. It might have to come down a little bit. But right now we're just going to keep it at average for 5. And really that's it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put whatever information I get on this tomato down in the description below. You can visit my website as well and read about it there. And I will also leave a link in the description below that'll bring you to the website where you can buy the seed for this and give it a grow for yourself. And maybe you'll do better than I do. It could just be an environmental thing where I live, and it's just not the right, too many trees and not enough sun angle. It could be anything for me. So just keep that in mind. It could be environmental. But the link will be in the description. You can visit HR Seeds and buy your seeds there. All right? And that's it, guys. That was your tomato review for the Cosmonaut Volkov Tomato. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one. Take care.